questions that people ask me constantly is, what do I do if my team isn't billing enough? It's a huge problem. If your team is not producing what you anticipated, if your team isn't producing what you need to keep your company going, well, that's all you've got. If you're a professional services company, your people are your inventory, and that's all you've got to sell. So when this is happening, there are a couple of things to consider. The first is, do I have the work for them? If you don't, then you've got a marketing problem. The second is, do they have the equipment they need? And the third is the one that's really important and actually one of the easiest ones to fix. And it is, they have the work, but they either don't know how to do it or they're not recording their time. All right. The biggest mistake most people make in this situation is they just yell at their employees. Get it done, get it done, get it done. They don't tell them how many hours they need to bill, so they don't set a goal. And then if they have set a goal, they either don't communicate on a regular basis that they're not achieving their goal until the end of the year when they yell at them, hello, you have not billed what you were supposed to bill. Or because the employee isn't performing, they just kind of mentally write them off and then actually start the firing process. So here's the solution that we have come up with that's been really, it's been really effective, to the tune of, we implemented this in one law firm and production went up by 40% in under a month. All right, here's how we do it. You have a weekly meeting with each member of your team, each billable member. And the purpose of the meeting is to improve the output of your biggest resource, your billable team. And you do this by showing them support so that they can be successful. This is less carrot or stick, actually, and more teaching and training. And we do this by setting expectations, communicating their performance data, listening to their barriers, which is incredibly important, collaborating on improvements. If they're not part of the solution, they're not going to execute, and then gaining a commitment for the coming week. So I want to break those 5 things down. The first is setting expectations. If you don't know how to set billing goals for your team, I've done a video on that and a blog, so go find that. But when you're setting expectation, it is a conversation that you have every week with your team member, and you say, you are supposed to bill this certain number of hours. Okay? You are expected, depending upon the job, to not only bill those hours, but collect on it. Every company is different. Some people want the people doing the billable work to collect debt, some don't. So that's an individual call on your part. And then the last expectation you have of them is to positively contribute to firm culture. I know this sounds silly when we're talking about getting people to be more productive, but if you keep putting that in there, and if you keep talking about contributing to the firm culture, you're actually going to see some change. And the better the firm culture, the happier your employees, the more productive they'll be. All right. Second part, communicating their performance data. It's really simple. Your annual target hours are X. This works out to approximately X hours per day or per week. Your hours last week or last month, we like to do this every week, so I'm going to go with week. Your hours last week were blank, which was what % of your goal? Okay. And then another one that's so important is your hours are trending up or down and where they're trending towards target. It's all about communication. So if their billable hours per week are 30 hours and they only did 25 hours, they only hit 80% of their goal. If their goal is 30 hours and they build 33 hours, they hit 110% of their goal. It's that easy. Talk to them about it. Everybody receives information in a different way. Some people like the numbers, me. Some people like the percentages, and some people like it visually. So do you need to give them a graph? Very easy to create. So once you have communicated the performance data, and usually when they're under, when they're over, this is going to be slightly different, but when they're under, you want to listen to the barriers. What, in their opinion, is the reason why they did not hit their goal? And don't give them the solution. Ask open-ended questions and then really listen to the answer. So here are some good questions to ask. Why do you think this is? Why do you think you missed your goal? What are the barriers to you hitting this goal? Talk to me about one of your cases, or talk to me about one of your projects. And then listen. Don't react, listen. Take notes and listen, because they're going to tell you what is going on. And you're going to be surprised by some of their answers, because it's not going to be what you think it is and what you assumed it was. Once you've done that and you have a list of barriers, collaborate on the improvements. What are you going to do this week? You can't address all of those problems in 1 week. You're going to have this meeting every single week. So with both of you, say something like this. Okay, reading your list. I heard you say the barriers are, read it all back. What's the biggest challenge for you today? I'd like to talk in more depth on that one, the one that will have the biggest impact and move you forward over the next week. All right, choose one and then teach and train on it. What is it that they need to know? What is it that they can do better? You know your business and you know how and what they can do when working on a case or a project. All right, once you've talked about it, get a commitment from them. And again, let them create the commitment, not you. But what is the commitment? Write it down and then read it aloud. You know, how many hours are they going to bill? And they're going to tell you. What new tip, trick, or technique are they going to implement? Let them tell you. What are they going to do if they're struggling with it? This is really important. We don't ever want any of our people to feel like we've thrown them in the deep end and they don't have an option. So what's going to happen if they start to struggle? Do they come to you? Do they come to another person? What's that plan? And then this is a really important one. What are you going to do for them over the next week? How are you going to support them? People ask me all the time why we deal with HR matters like this. We're CFOs. Well, you make your money off of your people. So we're going to have to talk about your people. And yes, this sounds kind of touchy-feely and HR-like, but really what it is learning how to be efficient with your inventory. So Try this weekly meeting. Do it consistently. And if you do it every single week with every billable person, I promise you in a month, you're going to see improvement.